To begin our discussion on typography inside of Dreamweaver, one of the first things I want to talk to you about is working with web fonts. Now, one of the greatest features that CSS3 affords any web designer is the ability to use your own custom fonts inside of your design. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to create those fonts yourself. There are a plethora of fonts available online that are all free and licensed for anyone to use in any particular project. A great place where you can find fonts in that category include many different websites, but one of the most popular and one of the ones that I use very often is a website called Font Squirrel. Font Squirrel is fantastic, and one of the reasons is because not only does it afford you the ability to work with any number of different fonts, it allows you to also generate your own set of code if in fact you wanted to use one of your own fonts that are not available on their list. Now here is the @FontFace generator, and I'm not necessarily going to go through all of this with you, but just note that if you have a font that is legally eligible for web embedding, in other words, if it's a free licensed font and you want to add it here, you just have to add the fonts and then download your little kit. However, notice that there are a number of FontFace kits available on Font Squirrel already, and there's a whole list of really decent looking fonts. Some of them are really quite nice and fantastic. And the main thing that's great about them is that they're all free and you can use them at any given moment in time. So, I've provided you with a number of fonts already that we're going to be using in our layout, the same layout that we've been working with all the way up to this point in our video tutorial. You'll notice in the source files for KillerSites.com Dreamweaver CS6, you'll see that in the Chapter 6 folder, there is a folder called Finish and Start, but we also have a folder called Fonts. And in this folder, I've provided you with all of the web fonts that you're going to be needing to use inside of your design. And as you can see here, there are 4 versions of Avro, Kaluna, Foundation Icons, League Gothic, and Museo 500. Why 4 different versions? Well, each one of these versions are specifically oriented to different types of browsers and different types of environments. Some are used for mobile devices, some are used for particular browsers. So all of your bets are covered with these, and all of these were taken from the Font Squirrel website. Foundation's Icons was taken from another website that offers these icon fonts for free. So what we're going to be doing is turning our design into something that's a little bit more custom by using these web fonts. Now Dreamweaver has some exciting new features that allow us to work in this fashion. To begin with, however, what I'd like you to do is to go to the Site menu and let's define a new site. In this new site, we're going to call it Chapter 6. The local site folder, you should point to the Chapter 6 folder, and we can work with the start. So we'll start from the beginning, and you'll notice in that start menu there's just a typography start HTML file and a CSS file. If we choose that and click Save, you'll now see when you double click the typography HTML page, you'll see a very simple website, and it is almost exactly the same as what we were working with just a second ago in the previous video. If you collapse this icon, we could take a look, and you'll see that it's linking to layout.css, which has our reset and the HTML5 display rule and all of the things that we had done in the previous video. If you look at the design view, you'll see that there are the section areas right up at the top. We've styled the links already. We have the article section in the aside and also the footer section. All we're going to do now is to try and make this text look a little bit more interesting and use some of these new @FontFace features. So now that we've got that all ready to go, come back in the next video and I'll show you how we can implement some of these new fonts.